What are some more of the most brutal, ignominious, and unceremonial demises of characters in the BIONICLE storyline? Taking a look at alternate realities, and also comments from the last part of the video, let's take a look. First up we have Kojol, the Makuta everyone forgets about, but there's no forgetting his death. The mastermind behind the virus that sent Matanui into his slumber also sought an armor-eating virus from the foundries on Zia. After hiding these underneath some of the Zian factories, later discovered by the Shadowed One, Kojol found himself caught up in an Artaka-led purge of anyone who knew the location of his realm. The operation was spearheaded by Tobduk of the Order of Matanui, and one of the aforementioned viruses was arranged to be released upon Kojol. The weapon the Makuta had intended to use for himself ended up being responsible for his demise, as it ate through his armour before his wandering antidermis was incinerated in the fires of a Zian furnace, corroded and then burnt to cinders. Not a peaceful end for the chemist of the Brotherhood. Next, a well-known death of not one but two characters, grouped together here due to them occurring at the same time. Like the Sidorak death of Part 1, this is the only character death on this list we get represented in visual media. Nadiki and Kreka would be the first casualties in what would turn out to be the first move in the Brotherhood Dark Hunter War, after Teridax takes control of the city of Metronui, rendering Matanui comatose with the aid of Kojol's science. His need of the two hired agents was no more, and he absorbed them into his essence, increasing his power further. As touched upon in my Makuta analysis video, the two hunters' wills had to be overcome by that of Teridax in order for their absorption to be successful, and give him the attributes manifested in his transformed state that also included parts of the creature Nevok. You say you want to avenge Nadiki and Kreka? Makama continued. Then take a hard look at Makuta. Recognise anything? The Shadowed One looked at the winged, armoured figure who stood before him. He had seen Makuta in different guises before, but now he examined him closely. He could see parts of the Master of Shadows were disturbingly familiar. It seemed as though Makuta had become an amalgamation of himself, Nadiki, Kreka and some other creature, but that was only possible if... You killed them, the Shadowed One hissed. With Teridax's confession that he could feel Kreka and Nadiki's will struggling against his own in Time Trap, in a process resulting in the closest thing BIONICLE has to body horror, not to mention their deaths caused the outbreak of a war, the pair's demise was as significant as it was horrible. Straying now into one of the myriad alternate realities of the BIONICLE story, we find the death of Toa Tuyet. This death takes place in the timeline Takanuva visits, wherein the Toa have established a tyrannical regime over the Matoran universe, with Tuyet at its head. Takanuva, attempting to aid a resistance made up of other Toa and Dark Hunters, convinces Tuyet that the power of the Konoe Olmec would allow her to travel anywhere she wished and start over. When the portal was open, Takanuva used this opportunity to jump through it, but not before prizing the Olmec from Tuyet's face. As the fallen Tower of Water desperately clung onto Takanuva's leg, which had now successfully breached the portal's threshold, the gateway blinked out of existence as the mask's power was deactivated. Tuyet was severed, her legs falling to the Colosseum floor in a heap, while her head and torso drifted away into interdimensional space. If there was any consolation for the Tower of Water, it was that the closing of the portal around her killed her instantly. Drifting through time and space for eternity while being conscious would certainly have been a far worse fate. Our penultimate entry for today's list is that of Kazani. The mad former ruler was one of the victims of Velika's purge of what he perceived as threats to his would-be dominion Opus Spurus Magna. After defeating Toa Lesavik and taking one of his air swords, Velika used the Toa's well-documented hatred of Kazani to murder the Titan with his weapon and pin the killing on Lesavik. Kazani's body was found by Pahatu and Kapaka, who indeed suspected the murder to be of Lesavik's doing. The corpse was found in the Iron Canyon, presumably where Velika did the deed, and taken back to Tahu for closer examination. A somewhat undignified end for such an ancient being, perhaps made even more unjust as no one may ever know who the real killer was, the suspect instead presumably being an innocent Toa Lesavik. As for the most brutal and violent death, it's not even really a character, for they are not named and otherwise have no significant story role. In the BIONICLE Legends Island of Doom book, we are told of a rather gory demise, which goes as follows. Then he remembered a night long ago, an island far to the south, and a Tower of Plasma who didn't beg quite loud enough, or share quite enough information. Zaktan had dragged the Tower off. Less than 2 minutes later, the Paraka leader returned alone. When Avac went to check on the situation, all he could find of the Toa were bits of armour, a mask that looked half devoured, and puddles of something Avac preferred not to try and identify. Though left somewhat up to the reader to imagine what exactly Zaktan did to the unfortunate Toa, it can safely be said to not have been a pleasant experience for the Paraka's victim.